Hi, I'm Sarah from the upcoming. What a pleasure to be able to speak to you today. Hope you're doing
Okay.
well. I saw this film a little while ago now, but the main thing that I remember coming out of the cinema feeling was it was everything I wanted it to be and more. For people though that haven't seen this next installment in the Bridget Jones series, what can they expect from this movie?
We hoped that it was going to make you laugh and make you cry. And there's something about it, it's slightly more, I mean, it's got all the hallmarks of the franchise where you've got your two guys and you've got the laugh out loud moments and slightly klutzy moments. But really, everything I think is a bit more real, certainly than number two. The question of love kind of expands beyond just the romantic. And it's like, what is love and does it last forever? And because Bridget, bit of a spoiler, but Bridget, spent 3 movies watching Bridget get together with the love of her life, Mark Darcy, and have a child with him. And as we meet her in the fourth installment, he's died. It's absolutely heartbreaking for Shaz, who also had a crush on Mark. Despite being very happily married, Mark was always, the dream man for everyone. And it's like, what do you do when your happy ending has gone to pot and you're a single mother of 2 young children? I mean, I think Bridget did need to be, I mean, for audiences to bear with her, she needed to be bitten by life because everyone is by the time they get to their 50s. Something's happened. For her to continue being the epitome of British womanhood, we need to see her going through, recognizable difficulty. And here she is.
Yes, exactly. Also, what I thought, because it, as you said, it has all the hallmarks of what we love about Bridget. She's not afraid to be messy, not afraid to make mistakes, but also laugh at all those things at the same time. But you
Yeah.
do feel like the sentiment of the film, the feeling of the film has matured as she has matured. And I think for a millennial woman like me, who's watched these films all through her life, it felt in step with the stage of life I'm in too. Becoming a mother and what it might be like to deal with grief. So was that something really appealing for all of you to kind of jump on board with, to have the laughs, but also to have those serious moments as well?
I mean, it felt very emotional doing it. And we all felt a bit embarrassed about that. Yeah, the read through, I mean, Renee and I were in floods of tears. And I suppose we weren't quite sure why. And then our last scene, which was at the Talitha's birthday, we're all on the dance floor. It's 3 seconds of the movie. We're dancing for 3 hours, and we uh, burst into tears after that. We're like, we're mad people, but there is something about these people became quite real to us over 25 years. So I did the first read through for the first movie on my 30th birthday, and I'm turning 55 shortly. So nearly 25 years. We've known each other all that time. And yeah, it did feel like this was a step change. It felt much more serious. Michael felt, I mean, all the directors have been different. So Sharon Maguire, director of 1 and 3, is Jude. And so she was part of that original friendship group that contained Vile Richard and Daniel Cleaver. And we just had to look at Sharon and we were in the world. The first movie, she spent most of her director's fee on DKNY sort of tracksuit filming gear to look really hot, which was such a Bridget thing to do, such a Bridget universe thing to do. And Michael, I think he was working out, how do I honor the franchise whilst, bringing to it the more serious questions of this stage of life. And yeah, so in short answer to your question, yes, I do think it's kept pace, and this sort of slight change in tone feels appropriate for not just for Bridget in her 50s, but for now.
And I guess for you as well, you've done so many different things in between playing Shazza. What is it like, I guess, keeping returning to one character through different periods of time? And this time around, did you have a favorite moment, sat around the table maybe with James and Shirley and Renee, or a favorite line that you got to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's stopped feeling like I'm performing particularly, probably doesn't look like I'm performing either. I'm just sort of hanging out with my friends. They've become real friends, and so you're with your real friends in a really nice place, pissing out. Like I say, of being on the dance floor all together and then saying goodbye to each other at the end of that felt very special. The drinks in the pub, that was a night shoot. and there was a photo machine at the top of the stairs, and we went up and took our photos. I mean, it felt emotional because we've known each other 25 years. There is this weird thing when you play a character that you care about and you're not phoning it in, even though it may look like I'm phoning it in. You're like over 25 years, it's been a large part of my life, that you're also saying goodbye to those characters. And they're such great characters. And the friendship is so great and it's sort of aspirational, really. I mean, I have got great friends, but they just look like they have such a nice time. And so saying goodbye to that and the feeling of inhabiting that is also sad.
The other thing I loved is there's like all these little nods to the other films and the original things, like
Yeah.
the cocktails, kind of the blue soup with the orange, the comes back on Bridget lying, one of my faves. Even when he's coming out of the water, which obviously Daniel Cleaver was doing the original.
Yes,
This time with
exactly.
a younger specimen. Did you have a favorite moment like that as well? That was a little bit of a nostalgia nod for the real fans.
Yeah, I suppose Leo in the white shirt, that's always classic, but I find James Callis so funny. James Callis, who plays Tom. And that day it was really hot. And we had an animatronic dog. We had two real dogs and an animatronic dog. It just didn't work. It was just catastrophic. There was sort of these two big men blowing up a hose pipe to get the animatronic dog to move. And then the real dogs could actually swim. There was no jeopardy. Yeah, that day was very, very, very funny.
The other thing I love about this film is that, it's not afraid to also be quite raunchy. I mean, I don't know whether that sort of surprised me. My head sort of forgot that there was quite an edge to the movies. And, these scenes that she has with Rockstar, it's not afraid to be pretty sexy and kind of celebrate. Okay, she's later in life. Okay, she may be a widow, but that doesn't mean she can't go and get her kicks if she wants to. So do you think that was something quite important to include in the film?
I think they've always been really good at that tone. I mean, Working Title are brilliant at this tone, where if you're remembering the films, you remember them as vanilla, and you go back and watch them, they're just not. Like the first movie, she's having anal sex. Bridget is not. She's not a prude. She's not twee in any way. She's got edge, and she's got a bit of edge with Mr. Wallaker in this as well, as in, she's not going to stand for him yelling at the kids. So yeah, so I just think that is where they excel. They've, got 30, 40 years of experience, precisely that tone. And yeah, I think it is important. But I mean, Renee just looks amazing, doesn't she? I mean, hopefully, I didn't think they looked wrong together at all, her and Leo. I mean, I thought that was easy to believe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you did or didn't, but I just thought they just were really cute together. And she didn't particularly seem like a different age. And so it was like the opportunities that were possible once a woman's in her 50s, like setting up his own family, felt like that rather than, oh, she's got a chicken neck or whatever, or she's got cellulite.
That was going to be my next question. I mean, what is it about the way I feel like no one else could ever play Bridget other than Renee? And she just nails it every time. I mean, even thinking back to, how amazing her British accent is, I can't even, I forget that she's even American, but that's, even the first part playing the character, she's just embodied every element of it. And we're always rooting for her. And there's something so endearing about her. And like you say, still managing to find those edgier moments too. So why do you think she plays the character so well?
Well, I actually think her being, I know she's sort of Norwegian Swiss, but her being Texan is part of the key to the success because I just think we're edgy. I think British women, we're a bit edgy and we're a bit fuck offy and a bit punky. And like even your most vanilla British woman is just edgier. So you think of like who would it be? Like who would it be? Whereas the minute she starts talking, your heart opens and you really care. You want it to turn out right for her. And everyone is prepared to say, yes, I'm so like Bridget. If someone says you're like Bridget, nobody takes that as an insult, even though Bridget makes all kind of mistakes and is like the epitome of a flawed human. And why is that? I think it's because she's learned how to, she's one of those very great actresses where it's not so much about embodying the character as being a sort of vector through which the audience can feel and connect with certain emotions, a shaman, if you will. She connects you with feelings, and that's why she's so brilliant. And I sort of think there's something about not being British and not being, bringing an outsider perspective and way of being into that character that's opened it up. And if you read I read the audiobook for Radio 4 quite recently, and Bridget's a lot harder than she is in the movies. Bridget in the book is more like Shaz in the films.
So the fact of a new generation coming to discover her, because I was talking to someone and they were saying their teenage daughter had walked on the street and pulled coffee down her front, which would normally be a very humiliating thing, and said, oh, because she'd been watching Bridget Jones. She's like, oh, for a second, I was like, imagine I was Bridget Jones and it was all okay. And I laughed it off. And I thought, my gosh, that's a very sweet thing to think about. But it's true, maybe in this day and age, people growing up with social media, this idea that we have to be perfect. Maybe Bridget can be quite inspirational, that actually you can be a bit of a mess and enjoy life and things don't have to be perfect and your life
and
doesn't
she's not
have
that
a
much of a mess.
No.
I mean, she's not that much of a mess. That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, she's better than perfect. Thanks,
Thank
Sarah.
you. So nice to chat to you.
Nice
Huge congrats on the
today.
film. Thank you. Nice to
Bye.
talk to you. Bye.